I don't have his telephone number stored in my phone, but I definitely have his telephone number because I have one text messages from him. I don't even know if he goes by Michael, if he goes by Mike. If I had a secondary discussion with somebody else and I mentioned his name, okay, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. Okay. I wouldn't know what it was. It could be, I could be making fun of the guy. I could have,
Okay.
I think I might have had maybe two text messages with Elizabeth, but literally only to do with Turtle Boy. I don't have her number stored either, so Proctor. Okay. I don't even know how to spell his name exactly. I don't have his telephone number stored in my phone, but I definitely have his telephone number. I have no relationship with Michael Proctor. Never have.
Right. And
never had a beer with him outside of anywhere. Never been to a sporting event with him. Right. Never been to a bar with him. I've never been anywhere with him.
Right.
Because I have one text messages from him.
Today is Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. The time is 4:44 p.m. We are inside a conference room located within the Disabled Persons Protection Commission, located on the 4th floor of 300 Granite Street in Braintree. I am Detective Captain Eric Benson with the Massachusetts State Police. I'm joined today by
Captain George Barrios, Mass State Police.
And we're conducting an audio and video recorded interview with, could you please state your name, sir?
Yep, it's Christopher Michael Albert.
And your date of birth, sir? And your address? And what's a good phone number for you? Okay, today's date again is March 19th. Okay. And do you have any alternative phone numbers before we get going?
No, that would be the only one.
That's the only one? Okay. Yeah. Just to wind a little bit, for the benefit of the record, how we came to be here. I'm just going to rewind and sort of go to a hit list of our interactions prior to today.
Sure.
Yesterday, March 18th, 2024, I gave your cell phone a call at about 12:51 p.m. and left you a voicemail. Is that correct?
Correct.
Asking you to give me a call back, that I was asked to look into something, and I was looking to talk to you. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Okay.
I actually didn't notice it for a little while after, but I saw the voicemail and.
Sure.
Yep.
Never a good idea to answer calls from numbers you don't know. So you didn't answer that call. Some time went by, and you called me back around 2:24 p.m. yesterday, after I had spoken to your wife, Julie, and you just had a couple questions regarding sort of what we were looking to do, the scope of our investigation, inquiry, etc. Is that
correct? That's
And you would ask sort of what the what the purpose was, who was asking us to do this, etc. Whether it was for an internal affairs investigation or some other purpose. And I explained that the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office had asked us to investigate some relationships that have been, the true nature of which are somewhat in dispute, I suppose. And these relationships are between witnesses in the John O'Keefe homicide investigation and the case officer, the state police case officer of the investigation, Trooper Michael Proctor. Is that?
Yeah, it's a fair assessment of it. Yep.
And I indicated that although we're not internal affairs, that this is not we wanted to do a formal interview, that this was not for internal affairs, but obviously anything that is said could be shared with internal affairs if that was requested.
Sure.
Is that?
That's
fair and accurate. And then during that same conversation, I believe that we tentatively agreed to meet sometime today. I think you were working yesterday.
Yeah, I was working all day yesterday.
And so you couldn't come in yesterday. We agreed to meet somewhere in the greater Canton area yesterday. I think I proposed Milton Police Department initially.
Yep.
So we ended that call after agreeing to meet sometime around 5 p.m. today for an interview. I called you back at about 3 p.m. and confirmed confirm that we could meet today at 5, but change the interview location to this location.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I followed up at 3:02 with the text message of this address.
Of the address, yep, correct.
Okay, and then just today we exchanged a couple of texts. You had asked to move the meeting up or the interview up a little bit to accommodate your schedule, and so we bumped it up a little bit to 4:30.
Correct, yeah. I wasn't sure how long I was going to take, and I didn't know if I didn't want to be too pressed for time.
Sure. All right, perfect. And is that a sort of a fair and accurate assessment of sort of our interaction leading up to this interview?
I'd say it's exactly how, yep.
Okay. And just for the record, do you know me? Have we ever met?
I've never met you. No, I've never seen you before. Nope.
Okay, and I don't recall ever having met you either. Have you ever met Captain Barrios?
I don't believe so. Nope. I don't think so.
Okay. And Captain Barrios, you don't?
No, this is the first time that I'm meeting Mr. Albert.
Yeah.
Okay. Very well. So before we get to the questions, well, I guess, you arrived today, you came up the elevator and you waited in the state police lobby here. We came to get you, introduced ourselves, brought you into this room, asked you if you had any questions before we started the interview. Is that?
Yeah, correct.
And
Exactly.
you had none?
No questions.
Do you have any now?
No, not really. No, I'm here to answer whatever kind of questions you guys need me to answer and
Okay.
go from there.
Well, if that's the case, we'll just get right into it here.
Sure.
Do you know Trooper Michael Proctor or any of his family members?
Yes, I know Trooper Michael Proctor, yep.
Okay. And do you know his wife, Elizabeth?
Yes, I mean, loosely I know her. I mean, I know Elizabeth's married to Michael Proctor. I didn't know her, until, maybe the last 6-7 years. I don't know the exact, how long it is, but yes.
Okay. And do you know his sister, Courtney?
I do. I know Courtney. Yep.
Okay. How long have you known, who did you meet first of that group of?
Courtney for sure. Yeah, okay. Courtney. Yep.
How long have you known Courtney?
Gosh. So, let me see. I would say I've known Courtney for at least 20 plus years. I mean, we grew up in the same town, but I'm a lot older than she is, so, our paths never crossed. When we were younger, at least.
Okay.
I'd say roughly 20 plus years.
All right. You're a lot older. Paths didn't cross. Obviously, for age means a lot more when you're younger.
Sure, yeah.
And so...
I meant like school age and stuff,
And how did you meet her?
So I guess I would think that I met her because of my sister-in-law, Jillian. Jillian Daniels is like best friends with Courtney since they were little. So I'm assuming at some point in our lives I met her through Jillian, through my wife, who's Julie, who's Jillian's sister. I couldn't really pinpoint exactly when I first met Courtney, but I've known her ever since, I guess my kids were little. Yeah.
Okay. So you've known Courtney since your kids were little. And how old are your kids?
So my oldest is 25, my middle one's 20, he just turned 20, and my youngest is 16.
Okay. And how long have you known Trooper Proctor, Michael Proctor?
So if I was to put a number on it, I've probably known Trooper Proctor for, I guess, I know who he is, but as far as knowing him, probably I've known who he was for maybe 15 years, if I was to put a number on it.
Okay. And how did that knowledge of him come about?
From Courtney, I suppose, just knowing that she had a brother named Michael. That's probably when I figured out that I knew who Michael Proctor, even though he's from Canton, once again, he's a lot younger than me. So I never knew him growing up because, age is age. I'm almost 53 and I don't even know how old Michael is. He's in his 40s, I assume.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm assuming when, Courtney was close with my kids growing up, well, kind of closer to some of my kids. So I'm assuming at some point I have a brother Michael or something. I didn't really know Michael at all.
Okay. And what about Michael's wife, Elizabeth? How long?
So, like I said earlier, like I probably just met her through Courtney at some time somewhere. I don't even know exactly when. I probably met Elizabeth for the first time within the last 6 or 7 years, if I was to guess. Probably at a function at Mike's parents' house.
Okay. And did you attend their wedding?
Their wedding? No, I didn't attend their wedding. I don't even know exactly when they got married, to be honest.
How often do you communicate with Courtney?
You know, before this all these events, I probably saw her more often and a lot less. I don't communicate with Courtney much. I don't really. Once in a while, like she maybe would send me a funny text or say happy birthday to me, or I would say happy birthday to her, but not very often. I'm not like super close with Courtney. Mm-hmm. My wife's obviously closer with her.
And those texts, would they be sort of group texts, or would they be?
I don't think so. I think it was just probably me or her. My wife might say like, "Hey, it's Courtney's birthday." Send her a happy birthday text or something simple as that.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I've texted Courtney. I wouldn't even.
Okay, but is it safe to say that you have communicated with Courtney by telephone, a text message, voice call?
A call, probably not. A text, yes. An actual phone call, I don't know if I've ever spoken to Courtney on the phone.
Okay. But
I couldn't say exact. I mean, it's
sure.
quite possible, but
okay.
Mostly anytime I've ever talked to Courtney, it's through a text message.
And how often would that be? If you were to,
God. I probably don't even have 10 text messages in the last 20 years from her.
Okay, so you're talking
very rarely, very sporadically.
If once a year, then
probably, yeah.
Okay.
Probably a birthday, like my birthday, her birthday. So that'd be once a year.
So would you classify it as rarely, very rarely? Some
I'd say rarely.
Rarely? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you on social media?
I am. Obviously, like once again, because of this whole entire case, I've limited my use on social media. But yeah, I mean, I have a Facebook account. I guess I have a Twitter, which I don't use.
Are you friends with Courtney on Facebook?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm almost 99% sure I am.
Okay.
Whatever that means nowadays.
Right. Do you communicate with Courtney using any sort of encrypted messaging apps?
Never.
Or other like WhatsApp, stuff like that?
I don't even, nope.
How about Trooper Proctor? How often do you communicate with him?
Oh, God, I would probably only talk to Michael Proctor on the telephone if I was to put a number on it 3 times in my entire life, and all 3 times had to do with setting up an interview to talk to him. Or maybe one time was when my son Colin had to have an interview.
All of those communications were in regard to this case?
Correct. I've never spoken to him, yeah.
To the death of John O'Keefe?
Correct.
Okay. But you have his telephone number. Did you?
I had to get it. I don't have it I don't have his telephone number stored in my phone, but I definitely have his telephone number because I have 1 text messages from him that when my son had to give an interview, I wanted to know if he was done, and the text message just like okay, or yes, he's done, or something like that. I don't even know exactly.
Okay.
But I don't have it stored. I couldn't tell you what his phone number is off the top of my head.
Okay, so prior to John O'Keefe's death,
yeah.
Do you believe that you ever spoke to Michael Proctor?
Never on the telephone. No.
Or had his number?
Never. Nope. I would have no reason to.
What about Facebook or other social media? Are you friends on Facebook?
With Michael? I mean, I could look up and I could tell you if I am. I'm not sure. You know how Facebook is. All of a sudden, everyone like friend requests you, and then you have like a million friends, which you're not even friends with. I don't know if I'm Facebook friends with him. I really don't know.
Do you mind checking?
I don't mind checking at all.
Excuse me.
It'd be interesting to find out because I don't even know if I am. I don't even know if he goes by Michael, if he goes by Mike. Proctor. Okay. I don't even know how to spell his name exactly. I have to do it a different way because I tried that way and it doesn't say the front of that. I mean, it's not saying that I am, but I don't want to be wrong here either.
No, if
Yeah, I just don't want to take too much.
I get it. No, take your time. But
Yeah.
do you believe, regardless of whether you're Facebook friends, do you believe that you've had any sort of Facebook messages or any
No. God, no.
communications with him?
No.
And what about other forms of social media?
With Michael Proctor? No, never.
And what about like encrypted messaging apps or WhatsApp,
Can't
stuff like
figure
that?
that out. Sorry. No, never.
Okay. And what about Elizabeth Proctor? Do you speak to her at all on the phone or Facebook?
I've never spoken to, I don't think I've ever spoken to Elizabeth Proctor on the telephone. I think I might have had a text or two with her, only in regards to this whole entire Turtle Boy crap, which is, this guy that was been blogging about my son, about me, my family, my extended family. I think I might have had maybe two text messages with Elizabeth, but literally only to do with Turtle Boy. I don't have her number stored either, so.
Okay. And they were regarding Turtle Boy. Do you know how you got Elizabeth's number? How you came to get her number, or?
I don't. I'm assuming maybe from my wife, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever engaged in personal conversation with Michael Proctor, like in person? Not in regard to this investigation, but
No.
in other settings.
So, not in regard to this.
Not in regard to this investigation, just
I see what you mean. What I wasn't sure.
public or
So the only time that I've ever been with Michael Proctor, besides when I gave an interview to Michael Proctor, would be at either his mother's house in Randolph, which they've recently sold and they've moved in with Courtney, or at Courtney's house during someone's birthday, maybe. So those are the only times that I've ever been in a personal setting with Michael Proctor. Was either at his mother's house in Randolph or his sister's house in Canton. I think maybe during Thanksgiving we went over there or something. Meaning Courtney's. The mother's, it would be like, one of Courtney's kids' birthday parties. Not even Michael's, because Michael's kids, they're much younger than Courtney's kids, so.
So the only time that you've ever been in the same social setting with Trooper Proctor has been either at his mother's house or Courtney's house.
Correct.
Have you ever been to his house?
Never.
You've never been to his house.
I've driven by his house before, because it's a cut through from one another, but I've never been to his house.
Sure. These times when you have been in his company in these social settings, either at his mother's house or at Courtney's house, can you describe those? How many were there?
Yeah.
To the best of your recollection, what was...
If I was to put a number on it, I would say less than 6 times I've been in a setting with him. If that's, and it was like Courtney's daughter or Courtney's son birthday. And we haven't been there for quite some time. I don't know when they sold exactly, but I couldn't even tell you the last event we went over to Courtney's mother's house, maybe 3 years ago. And I don't even remember if Michael was there. He wasn't every time I was there, he wasn't always there. So that's why it's either 6 or less. Just regular interaction. I mean, I wouldn't, like I said, I'm not friends with Michael, so I don't really, in a social setting, I say hi to him and stuff, sure. But other than that, I've never, he's not my friend. I mean, we're not friends.
Sure.
Yeah. He's an acquaintance. That's what I would say.
So you believe there was about less than 6 times?
Yeah, if I was to put a number.
Maybe, and you referenced 6 years ago. When do you recall what the most recent time was?
I'm trying to think when Michael was there.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? So I would think, I vaguely remember at Courtney's house where there was an event. I don't know if it was during Thanksgiving a few years ago, maybe. That's why it's not even coming to my mind because it doesn't happen often, barely if ever. So I would say the last time I saw Michael in a social setting would have been at Courtney's house, maybe like during Thanksgiving 3 years ago. That just sticks in my mind.
Okay. And why did you go at Courtney's house?
She just invited us.
Yeah.
Courtney invited us over to stop by to come see the kids and bring my kids. I don't even know. Probably just my youngest went.
Okay. And did you have any conversation with Michael Proctor?
Not that I remember. If I did, it wasn't of any relevance.
It wasn't significant.
No.
In terms of Proctor's wife, have you ever socialized with her or been in a social setting with her when Trooper Proctor's not been there?
When he's not been there, never.
Never.
No, not. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but not that I can ever remember. No, I'd have no reason to be in a setting without Michael being there.
Okay. And what about Courtney? Have you been at social settings with without?
Yeah, without Michael.
Michael and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And how often would that be?
Honestly, recently, not often at all, because of all this whole, like, once again, this whole case and this Turtle Boy nonsense. We specifically tried to stay away from people so that we're not, we're not near each other. Like, I didn't want to be, I don't need that person writing any articles about me. So,
right.
So, not a lot in the last couple of years, not a lot at all. I did recently stop by Courtney's house with my wife to drop off her son. Mm-hmm. So we bought him a gift, like a toy or something. So we stopped by there. I think it was like 3 weeks ago, somewhere around that, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
You and your wife did?
Yeah, just me and my wife.
Okay. To give her son a gift?
Yeah, a toy.
Okay. All right. Have you ever been to parties, weddings, or social events where Trooper Proctor or Elizabeth have been present?
So the only event like that I went to was a wedding, and it was Courtney's wedding. My son was a ring bearer. Courtney was real close with my son Colin. They were close. She's good to my son Colin, and she picked Colin to be her ring bearer in her wedding. So Michael was there.
Okay.
Obviously, that's Courtney's brother, so Michael was there.
Do you remember when that was? That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I would say, I think my son was 7, so I'm guessing it was around 13 years ago. I mean, I don't know her exact wedding date, but it would be her anniversary, so
sure.
Whenever that. So I'm guessing 13 years.
And at that wedding, do you recall having any substantive conversation with Trooper Proctor?
Don't even remember if I probably said hello to him. That's about it. I don't even know if that probably might have been even the first time I met Michael. Probably was.
Okay. Any birthday parties or anything where Trooper Proctor and his wife have been present?
Yeah, so I'm assuming over at Courtney's mother's house, there's probably definitely been a couple of birthday parties. I'm assuming that they were Courtney's kids and not Michael's kids, because his kids are a lot younger, and I wouldn't be invited to go over there for Michael's kids,
right?
Because I'm not like close with them, so
right. But your wife is close to Courtney, and
correct.
So on the basis of that relationship, you go to Courtney's house.
Yeah.
Courtney's brother is Michael, so Michael just happens to be in the same orbit there.
Of course.
During these things. Okay.
And there's plenty of times that I've gone over the years to Courtney's parents' house when Michael's never been there. Probably more often than not, he wasn't there when I've been there.
Okay.
That would say like the 6 times that I've ever seen him there.
Okay. And to sum up your interaction with Proctor at these events, how would you sum that up?
Just very like nonchalant, just like passing by. I'm more like friendly with like Courtney and close to her mom and dad, you know. So just sparingly. I couldn't even remember a conversation I've ever had with Michael at that house.
Okay.
I'm sure I've said hello to him. Maybe I talked about something sports or something, but other than that, nothing.
Can you specifically recall any conversation that you've had with him?
Never. Honestly,
it hasn't been to do with this John O'Keefe.
Oh God, no. I don't think I've been to an event since this case where Michael's been there. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the only time I've seen Michael Proctor during this whole entire case is when he interviewed me. And when I had to go in front of the grand jury. So those are probably the only two times. I can't say for certainty, but I'm pretty sure those are the only two times I've seen him.
Okay. And you already have answered this question. You have never been to Proctor's home?
Never.
Do you know if any member of your immediate family has ever been to Trooper Proctor's home?
Oh, I highly doubt that. Yeah, I wouldn't know anyone that would be there. No.
Have you or any member of your immediate family ever babysat Trooper Michael Proctor's children?
No. Not that I'm aware of. It would only be my wife, and I can't ever remember a time my wife ever babysat for his kids.
You have not?
I have not, no.
Were you or any member of your immediate family ever asked to babysit Trooper Michael Proctor's children?
To be honest, the only time I ever even knew that is because I watched a court proceeding, and supposedly it was asked by Courtney, or Michael maybe asked Courtney, or Courtney asked Michael. I don't even remember. I try not to watch it all, but in open court it was said that my wife was asked or was offered, or she didn't offer, but someone said you could reach out to her and ask her. That's the only thing that I would ever know.
But prior to that, you had no knowledge there was even a thought of that.
Mike. Why would no? Oh, Courtney's kids. That's a different story. Because I know my wife's over the years has watched Courtney's kids a couple of times.
Sure, but yeah. Michael's
never.
Okay. And the first you heard of any of that was the court proceeding.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Yeah,
last week or the week before.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And best of your knowledge, was that ask ever put in to your wife? Did anybody ever actually ask?
I don't think so. No, not to my knowledge, no.
All right. Did you ever speak with Trooper Michael Proctor directly regarding the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe?
As far as
Well, I suppose the answer is yes, because he interviewed you.
Yes.
In regards to
that. Yeah. So the way, yes, obviously, because I gave an interview to Michael Proctor.
And then you went before the grand jury, so.
And he was. I think I went to I went to two grand juries. I went to the state grand jury in regards to the Karen Reed case, and I went to the state grand jury in regards to the witness intimidation case against Turtle Boy.
Yeah.
In the Turtle Boy case, I believe Michael is also classified as a victim, him and his wife. So he was present in the jury room before we went into the jury.
Okay. All right.
But as far as I didn't have a conversation with them. I mean, I think the special prosecutor might have been there. I don't even remember, but.
Okay. So, obviously, he interviewed you in regard to the death of John.
Correct.
Prior to or after that, aside from the normal business that we discussed at the outset of this interview, there's always some back and forth setting up interviews and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then, reasonable follow-up afterwards. Aside from that, anything like that surrounding your interview with him or your appearance in the grand jury, did you have any sort of private conversations, if you will, in regard to the homicide?
Not that I can recall. I specifically made a point not to talk to people about it.
Did Courtney ever provide you with any information regarding the death of John O'Keefe that you believe was not public or not yet to be public?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. Do you know if she provided any such information to your wife?
I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Did you ever attempt to elicit any information from Courtney regarding the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe?
Not that I believe so. I mean, no, I wouldn't say that I elicited anything from her. I mean, the stuff that's in the paper, stuff that's out in the open, have I maybe talked to her about it? I mean, I don't want to say no, but I've never like gone out of my way to, you know, if anything, we didn't talk for a long, you know, we kind of stayed away.
Can you recall any specifics, or are you just saying that you can't? Are you saying you don't want to say no because you can't?
I can't
be totally certain, or are you saying
I can't recall any specific thing that I got out of Courtney that I asked Courtney.
okay? But you believe that it's possible that there may have been some communication.
Sure, yeah, there might have been something.
Okay. But you don't recall what any of that would have been.
No.
Okay.
It definitely wouldn't have been anything of any relevance because I'd remember it and I would tell you.
Okay. Let's see. Did anyone ever ask you to attempt to elicit any information from Trooper Proctor or Courtney regarding the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe?
No.
Are you aware if your wife ever attempted to elicit any such information regarding the investigation from Courtney?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. I think you've already answered this. You indicated that you do have a few text messages from Trooper Proctor on your cell
I
phone.
think I have one.
You have one, okay.
I actually looked for because after I believe you might have asked my wife if she had any, so I'm like, just for curiosity. But I don't even have them stored, so I had to punch in what his number was, and then it's just very vague. It says like, okay, and then I said, yeah. I think I was trying to call him to see if Colin was done with his interview down at the DA's office, and I think I might have called. Best of my recollection, I called him like, hey, are you guys done yet? And he said, no, I'll text you when we're done. So he wrote, all set, and I wrote, okay.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't have a single text message in my phone from Michael Proctor.
Any group text messages you think that he was a part of?
With Michael, no.
Okay. All right. You know, we asked your wife, and part of this inquiry is obviously to flush out the true nature of the relationship. Would you consent to allowing us to punch in numbers that we know are Michael Proctor's into your phone and see if there's any text messages between your phone and those numbers? And then if there are, to photograph such communications?
Yeah, I mean, I would think I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. You mean you want to do it now?
Yeah, we might as well do it now. We're here.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
But before we do that, I had one last question. We'll just deal with any follow-up stuff. Has anyone ever asked you any of these questions before? Has anybody ever come to you looking to investigate or inquire about your relationship with Michael Proctor?
Never. This is the first time anyone's ever asked me.
So
there'd be no reason to.
So no law enforcement, no state or federal law enforcement, state, federal, local law enforcement, no private investigators. No one has ever come to you or called you or attempted to interview you in regard to your relationship or your family's relationship with Michael Proctor?
No, this is the first time anyone's ever asked.
Okay. You find that to be, out of curiosity, you find that to be odd, considering the fact that the nature of your relationship is being spoken about in open court and in the media?
So in retrospect, I would say I wish that somebody had asked me, but we're only here because of some defense attorneys trying to drum up some relationships that don't exist. For me, that's my belief, is that it has nothing to do that someone shouldn't have asked. It was, why would they ask, you know?
And are you aware, and we'll ask your wife again this question because I don't think we asked her yesterday. Are you aware if anyone has ever attempted to ask her any of these questions?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think anyone has. I mean, you have to look at it this way. My role and my wife's role in this was very minimal. We were out together that night with John O'Keefe, but she went home early with a migraine, and I walked home, and so that was the end of the night. You know what I mean? And as far as like why it would be asked, I don't know why necessarily it would be asked. I mean, small town. I don't know. I don't even know why. I wish it did. I mean, well, retrospect.
It seems to me that, and admittedly, I don't know. Probably should have been following this case a little bit closer than I was, but I don't know a lot about the facts of this case. But it seems to me if there's relationships, being spoken about, in open court, or that, the easiest way to figure out, the true nature of these relationships is to at least ask the question.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So it just strikes me as just both as a police officer and just as a human being, odd.
Yeah. I mean, that's not that would be the responsibility of
No, I'm not blaming you. It sounds like I'm blaming you.
No, I get it.
Because,
but in retrospect, absolutely it should have been asked. But I think the relationships were so loose from the beginning, and I'm sure Trooper Proctor talked to his supervisors during it and gave a synopsis of what his relationship was. I mean, he never met my brother Brian in his entire life, so why would he? I don't know.
Okay.
If you're asking me if I think it, looking back on it, absolutely. I feel like looking back on it, probably should have asked a few more questions. But I have no relationship with Michael, and Julie's is only through his sister Courtney.
Okay. So, seeing as though, and I explain what we're going to do, and you can watch us do this.
Yeah.
And it's a consensual examination, so you're free to terminate your consent at any time.
Yeah.
But we do have a form, as we have with everything else. So I'll just excuse me. What kind of a phone is it? iPhone?
Yeah. I don't know what number or anything.
That's okay. And this one's associated with.
So just for curiosity, what are you just talking about? Michael Proctor?
Yes.
Phone number? Okay.
You can feel free to read this
over.
over.
I want to read it.
A lot of this stuff doesn't necessarily apply. Like I said, you're going to be here the whole time, so you can withdraw your consent at any time. But if you agree to it, just write your name here and then sign down there where I put the X.
Can I ask you a question before I do this?
You can ask any questions you like.
How many phone numbers does Michael Proctor have?
We were given a list of a few. Obviously, work phones, personal phones, stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, because the only phone number that I know that I've ever seen, I looked at my phone, is just one number. So.
Okay.
But.
And that's one of the reasons why we want to plug these things in to see what we got.
Yeah, but I would hate to do it and then not realize if he had texted me from another number that I didn't know.
Well, this is one of these things, why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because if there's the possibility that there are text messages out there, it's kind of important to flush that out.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
It goes to the the nature of your relationship with them.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You know what though? Now I'm just thinking, what happens if I have a text message in here that I didn't know about? Do I have any liability?
No, you're saying that you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So if you're setting up a murder or something, or if you're talking about illegal things, and we see it, then cat is out of the bag. That we saw it, we can't unsee it. But in terms of you're saying you don't believe that you've had any additional text message communications with Proctor or any of his phone numbers, and obviously people are mistaken all the time. The number of people that certain people communicate with on a daily basis is quite large.
Yeah.
And the volume of text messages that people exchange with people is enormous in some cases. So, and when you multiply that over the course of time and years, it becomes impossible for the human mind to keep track of all of the various text messages that you've sent, over the course of time. So
sure,
that's why your memory, even people who are attempting to do their absolute best at recalling events and recalling communications, your memory can only get you so far. Particularly when we're talking about things that happened some time ago.
Yeah. No, I know.
And that's why the records, either phone records, stuff like that, are helpful. And
It's not, you said that
together.
you kind of avoided them, right, during this whole ordeal.
Yeah.
So even if he had sent you a text from a different number, most likely it was from many months or
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I wouldn't want to get anybody in any, like, so this is my consenting?
That's your consent.
All right.
You wouldn't. You're concerned about getting somebody in trouble. You know, we can't make assurances. We don't know what's on the text. But,
Yeah.
I mean, assuming that they're non-criminal texts.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, I don't even remember. Like, the only text message that I ever had from Michael was the one that, to my knowledge, is the one that he said, "All set," and I wrote "okay." So
Okay. You go with that? We'll just
Yeah.
sign this here. If you could just date it. So give it to me this right down here. Just it's the 19th today, 19th day of March.
19th of March, 2024, 5:30.
5:30.
Okay, and then just the date next to your name, signature block there, right there. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. So again, you can withdraw your consent at any time by just saying that you want to withdraw your consent, and you're going to stay right here and watch me do it. So
this is just Michael Proctor's numbers, not Courtney Proctor's numbers, no one else's numbers.
no. Now, if there's a group text if there's a group text exchange that includes Michael Proctor on it, then we'd be interested in that.
Okay.
Because that would include Michael Proctor. But we are not interested in Courtney or Elizabeth or anything else. But if in the instance where we find a group text message that includes him, then that obviously would be relevant. But in the absence of that, it would just be between you and Proctor.
But if for some reason there's a group text that's in here with other people and he's in there, then there would.
We would be interested in that because we would view that as being relevant to
Yeah.
establishing the nature of your relationship with Trooper Proctor.
Okay. I'm starting to just be a little bit uneasy about it, only because I don't want to get anyone in trouble or anything. If there was something.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't necessarily agree. I understand your position, but I'm finding it hard to. Well, unless there are criminal things, I don't think that anybody could get in trouble.
Yeah.
For it.
No, I know. Yeah, fine.
Okay. So all I'm going to do is again
Put his numbers. Can I watch you?
you can come over.
Right. And then I could say,
Yep.
okay.
So I'm going to cancel that, and then I'm just going to search here just to see if there's anything that comes up here. So I have a few numbers here. Okay. I don't even know that it would necessarily come up like this, but I'll just start doing it there.
No. Do you think it's a good idea as you enter one number to say what the results are?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth about whether or not I want to read the numbers into. So I just performed a search in the search bar of the text message field in Mr. Albert's phone, and I performed a search of 4 numbers related to Michael Proctor. One ending in 93, one ending in 65, one ending in 91, and one ending in 67. And I did not come up with any results. Now I'm going to go and attempt to enter it into the new message field to see if that populates any content. The number ending in 93 does not. Number ending in 65 does not. And number ending in 91 does not. Makes me wonder if we are missing a number or something. And number ending in 67 does not either.
Not to tell you, don't you have to click on the...
Maybe I do. Let's try this again.
I know one phone number, I have one text message, but I don't know which one you have, so...
Click on that. Oh, wait a second. Is this... Cancel. I'm going to send this to... It should populate.
But yeah, so I guess it does. I don't know, then maybe...
Because it populates here.
Yeah, so it should populate down there.
So
okay.
it should populate
All right.
down there.
I don't know. I've never...
But...
I thought I had one text message that said, okay, all set.
Because new messages, if I go this, then it just sends me your contacts.
I meant down there.
Down here?
If you click on, like, no. If you click on you want to talk.
That?
No, I guess not. I don't know.
No, well, no, I appreciate your help. We'll try that. And then we'll just see if you can find it, because I'm not coming up with anything. This is usually when I usually it would populate other messages you have in your phone.
That's interesting. Maybe.
No. All right. So you want to try to find your...
Yeah, let me see. But I don't have them stored, so how would I'd have to go back on that date that he gave that interview. That's interesting.
So again, the examination of the phone for text messages with numbers ending in 9365, 91, and 67 revealed negative results.
Yeah, because I don't have him stored, so I don't know unless...
What
Can
do
you read me those numbers?
What do you think? Well, I don't want to really read, but maybe if we can search your text messages. Do you remember what the text message said?
Yeah, I'll search. Hold on.
If you search your text messages for like the verbiage of what you thank you.
It was from like not him, and maybe it was from like another guy that maybe is the guy that was in there with him.
Well, did you find it last night?
Yeah, but I don't know how I found it exactly. I think my wife told me what his phone number was, but I don't. 1781.
Well, and you said you don't have his contact.
No. I just asked her what his phone number was, and I punched it in.
Maybe it's a number that you don't have.
Yeah, that I wouldn't know.
What did he say in the text? Maybe if you
I did it on the server. He said all set. I said okay. All set.
All set. And then what does that show?
It just shows people like that. People I'm friends with. My brother.
If you go show all, if you type it in and then go show all,
yeah,
and then maybe scroll down to one that you don't have as a contact.
There's like a million of them.
Of course.
There's a lot of all sets. Like a million all sets.
I bet.
All set. Yeah, all set.
From people that you don't have as a contact, though?
No, my wife, my son, someone that works for me, my vendor. But so far, I don't have a no contact here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mostly everyone's in my contacts. No, so that would have already been, because I'm trying to think when my son gave an interview.
How did you do the search? All set in messages. Okay.
And then I wrote all, and I wrote see all.
Okay.
I mean, I can ask my wife what number she gave me. She's actually going to be coming up here, because didn't you want to finish what?
Yeah, we need to talk to her again. I mean, I guess I guess we can do that and just see. Obviously, it's important just to see what you have.
Yeah, no, I get it. Oh, no, that's why I let you do it.
But yeah.
But I
No,
don't have any of those numbers.
Do you mind if I search your contact list for Michael Proctor's name?
Yeah, you can.
Then you can come over and see me do it.
Yeah, no, unless I spelt it wrong.
No results for Proctor.
I tried it too to see. I did Michael and then I did Mike, but I'd have no reason to have his number stored.
No.
Did you try in the message field on the message just typing in his name, Trooper Proctor's name?
I didn't know.
Michael.
I have a lot of Michaels in there.
No, there's no Mike Proctor, Michael Proctor at all in his contacts. All right, do you mind if we try that with your message field?
Put Michael Proctor in my message field.
Yeah.
Here's Michael.
I mean, you're probably going to get a million different things, but I was okay with like you seeing if he sent me a text, but if I mention him to someone else, I don't feel that comfortable with it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Just in case I said it to like, Michael Proctor's a dick. I don't, you know what I mean? Not that I would say that, but do you know what I mean?
I understand.
It's one thing if I let you see if he sent me a message, which, I have no problem with, but I wouldn't want like, if I had a secondary discussion with somebody else and I mentioned his name, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
I wouldn't know what it was. It could be, I could be making fun of the guy. I could have,
Okay. All right.
I mean, if that makes sense to you, I just.
No, like I said,
I mean, most lawyers probably wouldn't even. Not that I need. Like, they probably wouldn't even. I just let you look through my phone. So,
No. Well, we appreciate it. We think that it goes a long way to answering the questions that, we're here to answer.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, so let me ask you a question. In retrospect, like, should people have asked more about relationships? Now, you said that, and, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was just, to me, if relationships are in question, somebody should ask about it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. That's what I said earlier. Like, in retrospect, I wish they grind down every single thing, and they see that I have no relationship with Michael Proctor. Never have.
Right. And
Never had a beer with him outside of anywhere. Never been to a sporting event with him.
Right.
Never been to a bar with him. I've never been anywhere with him.
Right. And just my, my opinion, if you're going to be, using someone's relationship, and talking about it,
Should be able to prove it.
Before I was, would go about talking about that, I would probably at least attempt to talk to the person and find out what the nature of it was.
Yeah, no, that makes total
and
sense.
to ask the hard questions like, can we look through your phone?
Yeah.
And can we,
Yeah, absolutely.
try to, really bear down on the nature of things.
Yeah.
So that was all that I was asking, just to see
Yeah, no, I
if anyone
understand.
has come to you to, because also that would be another statement that you made in regard to this inquiry.
Sure,
that could be valuable, because obviously any of your past statements regarding your relationship with Michael Proctor.
No, I understand. I mean,
be relevant to this inquiry.
Yeah. No, I totally understand.
Captain Barrios, do
you have anything for me?
further?
No, I do not. No,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I hope I helped a little bit. I don't know. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, and if you can look for
I'll ask my wife
text
when
messages and
like I said, the only one that I thought there was one, and it said all set, and I wrote okay.
Okay.
Because I was downstairs at the DA's office. It was like 7:00 at night. I remember it, and he said all set, and I said okay. And then I went upstairs and met them. Took my son, left.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Very good. If there's nothing
enough?
further,
Yeah.
we'll
No, I don't
conclude
think
the
so.
interview and shut off the body cameras. The time now is 5:47 p.m. Tuesday, March 19th, 2024.